So thanks to everyone as you're sharing where you are joining us from today and your expectations from the workshop. And if there is anything, Arvind, I will alert you as we go. Very happy to have you here today to talk to us about emotions of a coach, coach and mentor coach perspective. And that's what got me hooked. And I know you're my mentor coach trainer. You've guided me on this path. And what can people expect through this session? It's a session where we are going to explore the emotional experiences of coaches, both during coaching conversations as well as mentor coaching conversations. So let's see how it goes. A little bit about Arvind before I hand it over to him. He described himself in 5 short words: affable person, friend, coach, mentor coach, director, and he put it in brackets specifically in that order. So I'm reading out in that order. A little bit more about Arvind. He's the director of coaching at CTT. He's an ICF MCC trained coach, a mentor coach. He has over 2,500 coaching hours and equal number of hours with his mentor coaching to his credit. He holds a master's in financial management from Loyola Institute of Business Administration, Chennai, and is a master's in foreign trade from Pondicherry University. He is a CC certified Toastmaster who managed Corporate Toastmasters Club and is certified in Crucial Conversations. He is also a city host for a group of 50 members under Live Your Legend initiative. I'd love to know what that initiative is all about. It is so intriguing, the name itself, which encouraged members to pursue their passions in 2014. He's an avid movie buff, music enthusiast, and lives in Bangalore, Karnataka. With that, we are so happy to have you, Arvind, on our session today. Over to you.
Thank you, Shanti. Thank you so much. Wonderful to see you all today. A lot of familiar faces. Hello, everyone. Good evening. So, guys, as the topic actually says, it's emotions of a coach. And as you guys know, you are all coaches here. So I'm not going to be speaking about your emotions, first of all. So there is no way I can speak about your emotions. The idea behind this entire conversation today, and that too on a Monday evening between 6:30 and 7:30, is all of us actually speak about emotions, right? And that's the first step I would like to kind of create for all of you. Guys, basically the reason why I chose this is because I think for various reasons, there is a lot of concentration towards client and what we can all do for client and what needs to happen for the client and for the coaching world and blah, blah, blah. That is something that the concentration is happening a lot on. But in the whole process, what is actually getting missed out is we are not talking about us. We are not talking about what's happening to us. What are some of the emotions that we are kind of going through? How can we kind of come together as a coaching community to speak about these emotions, right? That we kind of, are taking on. And that is what prompted me to kind of speak from the world of coaches. So primarily I'm a coach first, and then I come across as the mentor coach. In my mentor coaching conversations with coaches, I have actually seen a lot of emotions kind of coming up. And I thought it would be best that we also speak about the world of emotions from that perspective as well, right? So for that purpose, this is not a session. This is not something that I am leading. This is a conversation that all of us are leading over here. I have just created some prompts for all of us to continue to be in conversation towards that. Okay. So you're welcome to, use the chat box or you can come off mute and share. But there are a few things that I have kind of planned in different ways for all of you. Okay, so let's see how that whole thing goes. But let's talk about emotions today. Let's really talk about what's happening with us. All of us became coaches. All of us are in a journey. Multiple things are actually happening. But how do we kind of go ahead and start speaking about all of this? So that's my aim today, right? While you might have your own requirements in this whole thing, right? Okay, so before that, a quick check in the room. If you can just type it in chat. I mean, I know all of us are coaches here. Ballpark, okay? And don't worry about the numbers. Ballpark, how many hours of coaching are there in this particular group today. So if you can just type out your current number of hours of coaching that you have with you. Okay, so just keep typing the numbers as it is. Don't worry about the numbers that you're actually saying. Wow, so that's 60,000. That's a good one. I didn't expect a 5-digit number, so I was more expecting a 4-digit number, but yes, got that. Brilliant, brilliant. Okay. Fantastic. In the group as a whole. Oh, like that. Okay, thanks. Thank you, Sundar. Thank you for calling that out. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so let's say I think we have an average of around 500 plus as a number, considering all the various coaches. This is wonderful. So it's good to just for me to know how much of weightage we will actually have speaking about emotions today. Right. So that's one thing. Now a quick check-in for another set of group of people. How many mentor coaches in this room or have done mentoring to coaches? So if you can kind of type in your number of mentoring hours that you have actually done, right? Mentoring hours for coaches. So if you can type out some numbers. Got that. Nice, okay. Nice, okay. Okay, all right. Excellent. So, guys, this entire conversation today is going to come from all these hours that all of us have kind of completed, right? And I would want you to, while you are here, I would want you to recall or remember these hours that you have actually spent, which is where the entire conversation is actually going to happen. So just take a moment to just remember these 2,500 plus hours or 100 plus hours or 500 plus hours, how it is actually kind of come across. And look at the most prominent emotions that you might have kind of gone through, right? So that's the whole idea behind it. So with that, I would also like to kind of do a quick conversation today on some questions I have for all of you. Can you hear me? Am I audible? All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody says I'm not audible, and if you guys can check from your side as well, I think that will kind of help.
Yeah. You're audible.
Got it. Thanks so much. Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of call it out, and just a few polls or something that we can actually do, right? Is and for that I would love to take my colleague's help, Aishwarya, who's here. Hey Ash, if you can just come into the conversation.
Hello, hi everybody. This is Aishwarya from Coach to Transformation and Arvind's colleague. I think a few of you already know me, so hi again. I'll be here just to assist on a few things.
Sure, thanks Ash. Thank you so much. So Ash, if you can now share what we actually have. So the first thing, everyone, is I'm going to speak about the emotions of all of us, okay? Emotions of all of us as coaches, okay? So I have a question that's coming up for you, and it's going to be in the form of a link, and that link is going to be sent to you right now on chat, on the chat. And if you can click on that, and Ash, if you could share the screen. And so the first question I actually have for all of you is, what are the top 3 emotions that you go through? What are the top 3 emotions that you go through when you are in a coaching conversation? Can you just take a moment to think of it? What are the top 3 emotions that you go through? And if you can just use that link. If some of you, the link is not working, it's fine. You can use the chat as well. But just see if you can type in the top 3 emotions. Let it be a single word. Try using a single word to represent that. Top 3 emotions that you go through in a coaching conversation. And there are certain aspects to it. So just consider overall coaching conversation. Okay. Yeah, I see. Okay, let's continue. Top 3 we are writing. Just kind of looking at, and this is for all of us, everybody. This is like, we spoke about, I mean, the whole program talks about the emotional landscape, right? So this is to represent the emotional landscape for all of us, saying what are the top 3 emotions that all of us here as coaches are typically kind of going through, right, in coaching conversations. And I think the most prominent look like is empathy and curiosity. And curious, I'm going to, for the sake of having our top 3, I'm going to consider them both under the same concept. While we as coaches know curiosity and curious are not the same in many ways. The minute we ask what is curiosity and what is curious question, things can be very different. But I think empathy seems to come out a lot. Then there is curiosity, and I'm kind of looking at the next one. I think we could look at, I'm so happy. Excitement is something that's kind of standing out a lot. So this is brilliant that we do have a lot of excitement, right? Anxious. I think I would actually go with anxious as one of the top 3. So empathy, curiosity, and anxious, I think are 3 things that typically kind of stands out the most. And these are the emotions that we kind of go through, right? Okay. 131 responses. Perfect. Okay. So let's go with this first. Okay. I'm now going to launch the second question. Okay. Ash, I'm gonna need your help for the second one. There is one more link coming to you. There's one more link coming to you. Just see if you can click on that link and type out. The next question that I have for all of you is, what are the top 3 emotions that you notice when you're working with a client? So the first one, what we answered is, what are the top 3 emotions that is there when we are in a coaching conversations, right? But I'm adding an element right now. I'm adding an element called the top 3 emotions that you notice when you're working with your client. Top 3 emotions that you notice when you're working with your client. Brilliant. Okay. All right. Let the responses keep coming.
Arvind, I believe these top 3 emotions in the client you're talking about, right?
It can be both. Sorry, who was that?
Vibhu.
Vibhu, thanks, Vibhu. Vibhu, it can be both, Vibhu, right? I mean, it's the concept of the client. The minute a client factor is kind of added, what all the emotions are kind of coming up. That's what I'm kind of looking at, right?
Arvind, I
So,
think
yes, Mahesh.
I responded that way when you asked the first question. I responded my emotions when I'm with the client. In a coaching situation, ka matlab I'm with the client.
Yes, correct.
So this becomes redundant for me now.
Got it. Okay. So
Yeah, I'm
two
just letting you
aspects
know.
here.
Yeah.
Got it. Understood. Okay. And that's fine, Mahesh. That's also fine in my perspective, because I'm considering coaching conversations as a partnership where I am part of a coaching conversation where I'm in conversation with another person, right? But there is also a client concept sitting there. And my belief is that could be different. And that's where I'm kind of coming from. And I see the words a little different right now. So anger, frustration, confusion. Okay. All right. Okay. So the top three that seems to be coming out of this are anger, frustration, and confusion. And also impatience to a certain extent. Okay, fair enough. All right, thank you all. Thank you so much. And feel free to keep answering. I'm moving to the third one, and this is again for all of us as coaches. I'm moving to the third one now. And this is something with respect to, and I'm being very deliberate here when I'm asking this question. What are the top three emotions, right? When you have a sense of, or when you know you have failed, or when you have a sense of failure in a coaching conversation, right? What are the top three emotions that you have when you know you have failed? And I'm being deliberate over here by using the word fail. So that's the third one. And yeah, I should just send you the link for the third one, if you can. Okay. Got it, Jolly. Thank you. So what could be a feeling? Okay, so you don't have that feeling of failure. So there will be a feeling that you will still have. There'll be an emotion that you will still have. Right? What would be that feeling, that emotion? If you can share that. And guys, as I said, these are questions that has popped into me with respect to me being a coach, and it's coming from some of the experiences that I've actually had. So I've kind of consolidated it. These questions are absolutely not exhaustive. Any changes can be made into these questions from any of you. Yes, Ash.
Sorry, Arvind, just coming in. Can everybody type the responses in the chat? There's some technical issue.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. For the third one, if you can just type out the responses on the chat. And this is again just for us to know what's really happening with all of us when there is a sense of fear. Got it. Thank you. Unhappy, helplessness, disappointment, frustration, self-doubt, upset. Fantastic. Frustration. Ajay, I just saw your response. Could you change it into a feeling? I know it's a question of what could be done better, but what is the emotion that you have with respect to what could be done better? There you go. Okay, it's back. The glitches take care. Sad. Got that, Ajay. Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Frustration, sadness, anxious. Okay. Got it. Neutral, unattached, and dispassionate. Got it, Johnny. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. All right. Okay. So while there are obviously going to be spectrum of coaches over here with different impacts, like how Jolly came in to actually say, I don't have that kind of a feeling at all. I never sensed the concept of failing in any conversation, right? But we also know that I just wanted to present it to all of you that as coaches, I don't think we can shy away from the fact that there is a sense of failure that we do have when we are working with our clients, right? And if you actually look at, the topic itself, right? There is this, an unsaid an unsaid concept that we are very confident, capable, supportive people for clients. That's what has been created for coaches, right? In many ways, right? And we just want to represent that constantly saying, no, I cannot accept that kind of a space for me that I have failed in some particular place, right? But I'm just now coming to share with all of you. And that's why I specifically added the word failure, saying, I think we need to start accepting the fact that there are times when we are sitting with our clients and there is a sense of failure that we do feel. And I want all of us to, accept and just realize that this is a reality. That's a reality. Right? If you see the words that are written there, those are emotions. Those are real emotions, right? Some of you might not be facing it. That doesn't mean it's not there. And that's one of the things that I would love to kind of start off with today. With all of us being here as coaches, right? There are 3 different layers. There is a coaching conversation as a space within coaching. There is within the coaching conversation of a space, there is the client. And the minute a client is actually added, and there are a set of emotions. And then when it comes to us, right? And as I said, I was deliberate about the word fail. That fail automatically has set of emotions, and I think we do feel it. It might not be in every coaching conversation, but there are conversations where clients result in some kind of an impact on us, right? In the way the conversation is ended, in the way the conversation was spoken, and so on and so forth. In fact, in this moment, as I'm actually sharing this, I'm sharing with all of you, I'm sure there is an emotion running within all of us at this particular point of time. Okay. And I think we need to also understand that, it can have many levels of impact when we are speaking about it, when we are openly talking about it. That's the most important aspect. And that's why I picked this up today to share with all of you or talk with all of you. I see Johnny's question. Johnny has asked a question saying, can we define fail? Okay. And here is where fail comes from for me. For example, I thought I'm curious and I asked something, but it resulted in not being a very curious landing of that whole thing to my client. It starts from there. Let's take a simple thing like that. Okay. To a concept of, I might have ended that conversation with me suddenly feeling abrupt for some reason. Okay. So I'm just picking up one example. I would love to hear from all of you. What are some of those failures or some of those, and let's be very open here, guys. I don't want to see fail as the way we have seen fail from a performance world that we come from. Okay. I want all of us to see the word fail from the coaching mindset that we all have. From the coaching mindset that we all have, if you were to look at the word fail, okay, what are some of the few places where you think there is a fail possible? Something made you write those words today. Can you just type it out? Can you just type out what that means? Absolutely. Thanks, Ashok, for calling that. Yes, Preeti, go ahead. Go ahead, Preeti. Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's an ongoing coaching engagement that I have within my organization.
Mhm.
And I have this coachee who's not based out of India, is outside of India. And in the last few conversations that I've had, I felt that at the end of the conversation where we spent about 60 minutes, you know, I sit back and reflect and I'm like, where did the 60 minutes go? I didn't achieve anything. I have failed to establish even what am I, you know, what am I there for? What is the issue? And there's a lot of emotions that are going through the coachee, and you know, there really genuinely is a lot of fix, you know, an organization politics playing, a lot of personal emotions, you know, that the person's going through. And I think that, you know, for the 55 minutes out of 60, I'm just listening in, you know, and I'm just allowing the coachee to share what they have to, because it's not really helping for me to butt in and try to say, okay, you know, I have a format I need to follow, I'm the coach. Nothing happens because that's not the need in that. And I had been reflecting, and I had a call today itself, you know, this morning. And I was thinking to myself, I think this is the third or the fourth call where we haven't even established the objective. I just end up listening because there is a mountain of emotions this person's going through. It's a catharsis that's happening and very, very needed before, you know, we can start anything. And to myself, I was feeling in my own way, not really using the word failure, but pretty close to that emotion of a failure as a coach. And I'm a beginner in this world of coaching, you know, not yeah, I've seen some 5-digit numbers there. I'm still in 2 digits right now. So I thought, okay, maybe, you know, I am failing, I am falling behind somewhere. But I think it just happened today, and we're right in the session where we're talking about these emotions, and you brought out, you know, that this can happen and it's normal. It's making me feel quite relieved, honestly, that I'm not the only one who feels these emotions, and in reflection that I see it, but it's normal. So great, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that out. You know, to me, failure is not even getting a breakthrough and establishing, you know, like in this engagement. I'm sure there could be more ways of looking at, yeah, for lack of a better word, a failure. Yeah.
Got that. Got that. Wonderful, wonderful, Preeti. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I know you're sharing that with a lot of emotion from your side, but I have a big smile on my face because when I had imagined that question, this is something that I had expected to happen in the room, and it actually happened. So for me, that is a success feeling that I actually have right now. So one's form of sharing an emotion can actually result in somebody else's success feeling in this particular moment. And that's a very true concept between two people when they are actually sitting in a conversation, right? What could be a success for me might not have resulted well for my client, but what could have resulted in the client not doing very well could have a very different impact on the coach as well. And I think that's where the whole concept of the partnership kind of comes in a lot. That we are going through a emotional seesaw that typically kind of happens. There are times when there is a balance, but then it's fine to kind of go up and down, up and down. And that reality is something that we need to accept. Right. There is this coaches, you know, there is within the coaching fraternity, there is a word we call it as coaches pedestal, right? An undecided, imaginable pedestal that got created for a coach in such a way that in the whole process, we might have missed to be the human in the room, right? And that is something that I would love for all of us to now today take away that, guys, let's accept we are there, we are doing this work, we are doing this work for another person, but in the process, we are also getting a lot out of this. And we should never let go of our human nature within us in this whole process, right? Thank you, Preeti. Thank you so much for kind of sharing that entire piece. Okay. Let this keep going on. I'm just going to present another 3 more questions in the same manner, and let's see how that actually goes. This is concentrated towards the mentor coaches specifically in the room because we are looking at the mentor coach perspective. So a call out to all the mentor coaches, a shout out to all the mentor coaches in the room, right? This has come from the mentoring work that you have actually done. And while the mentor coaches are clicking on that link, the coaches are also allowed Okay. All the others who have got mentored from the mentor coaches, from your perspective, also go ahead and see if you want to share. Okay. And here are the new 3 questions that are kind of coming up. So there are 2 aspects to it. I hope you guys understood that. There are coaches in this room. There are mentor coaches in this room. The mentors are going ahead and answering from their side. The coaches are answering from their side. This is going to be a mix of emotions, but that's okay. This is about just seeing how the emotions are emerging finally. Okay. So the question for this is, what top 3 emotions have you seen in coaches? Okay. Have you noticed in coaches? Okay. What top 3 emotions have you noticed in coaches? When I say coaches here, mentor coaches are looking at their mentees as coaches. So from there, they're going to answer. Those who have not had the opportunity to mentor yet, okay, but if you're a coach and you've worked with a mentor, you might also know other coaches in your life, your peers, basically. You can answer from that particular perspective. Okay, anything goes. So just 2 sets of world, coaches and mentor coaches. Okay, though some of you might have a link issue, just go ahead and type it out here. That might also help. This is just about getting a larger perspective of emotions as what we are seeing in our world of coaching today. Self-doubt, okay? Curiosity, joy, confusion, attachment to outcomes. Yep, wonderful. Self-judgment, self-doubt. Got it. Brilliant. Brilliant. Keep sharing, keep sharing. Drop in confidence, yes. Performance anxiety, got it. Fair enough. Pressure to perform, nervousness, anxiety, and positivity. Calm, confidence, brilliance. Okay, got that. But let's take even the top 3. I think I'm going to take the top 1 out of all of this. I think self-doubt stands as one of the biggest that we all seem to actually have, specifically us looking at each other as coaches and even the mentor coaches when they are working with their mentees. I think one of the key aspects that comes up is self-doubt, right? I think it's a phenomena, it's an emotion that we all need to accept that there is always going to be self-doubt, okay? And self-doubt typically happens when we are growing. Okay, how many people would resonate with that? Growth brings self-doubt. Okay, and that is true because every time we are growing, we are moving into a zone. We are moving into an uncomfortable zone. And when an uncomfortable zone happens, the first thing that will hit us is doubt. So the self-doubt will always be alive. So I'm very happy to see that self-doubt is actually coming up as one of the top emotions because we need to take care of self-doubt. Okay. And we will get there. We'll not worry about taking care of it. We will at least see what is coming up. Okay. The next link that I'm going to send, this is only for mentor coaches. All other coaches, I would want you to be observers in the room, but this is only for mentor coaches. Okay. The question is, what top 3 emotions you notice about yourself when you're with your mentee? Okay. What top 3 emotions you notice about yourself when you're with your mentee? So the link has just come up. If the mentor coaches can actually answer that, okay. All others who are getting mentored or having the opportunity of working with a mentor, you can see if this resonates in many ways. Okay. What top 3 emotions you notice about yourself when you're with your mentee? Okay. And there is a reason why I have put this, and I will share that with you a moment. Calm, curious, connected, excitement, passion, apprehension, anxiety definitely is there. Anybody else? Anybody else? Performance, outcomes, open to learn. Calm, curiosity, got it. Excitement, passion, connected. Okay, this is brilliant. This is a very good. I mean, this is a an eye opener for me also, that we have calm as one of the emotions that seem to be coming up for mentor coaches when they are working with a mentee. I think that's a trait that has got built by the mentor coaches over a period of time. But I also want coaches to know that just because somebody becomes a mentor coach, their own apprehensions or their own doubts doesn't go away. That is also there constantly. There is a sense of performance. There is a sense of curiosity. You want to be non-judgmental as much, but somewhere it just slowly and steadily creeps in. You cannot do anything about it. And your need to be right is also something that becomes very high, because now you seem to be upholding the competencies and you need to support your mentees and so on and so forth. So that's what in the mentor coaches world is. But this is something that I want all of the coaches here who are working with your mentor coaches. You need to see what's happening with your mentor coach. Your mentor coach is also a coach, right? It's just that they've had the opportunity to see a little further than you, but that doesn't mean the emotions have not kind of gone away, right? The emotions are still there, right? There is a parent-like initiative that might come up, which we struggle a lot to kind of hold on when we are a coach with respect to a client. But here is something that your mentor coaches are actually saying. And guys, this is just a picture that I'm presenting with all of us here, right? We are 70 people in this room and 70 different coaches, 70 different minds, just sharing their world of emotions. And we're all getting to see a picture out of this. That's all. That's the whole idea behind it. Okay. Now I'll move on to the third one. And this third one is for all of you. Is for all of you in the room. Okay. What are top 3 of your emotions that have impacted your work and well-being? Now you can talk from generic perspective as a person. The person in you has a coach, a mentor coach, you are leaders, you are absolute movers and shakers in your field, in what you're actually doing. With that, if you were to now answer this question, what are the top 3 emotions that have impacted your work and well-being, right? Today, as of today, right? You guys are coaches, you guys are mentor coaches. You guys are, as I said, movers and shakers, leaders who are absolutely high influence people. I know some of you here who are extremely inspiring, who have inspired many in this world of coaching and in the world outside also, I'm aware of, right? What are the top 3 emotions that seem to have kind of emotions that have impacted your work and well-being? Compassion, anxiety, worry, purpose. All right. Okay. So let's see what words stand out the most. I see anxiety. I see purpose. I see, to a certain extent, gratitude. To a certain extent, fear. Anxiety, fear, purpose seems to be like really loudly kind of happening through this particular process. Okay. All right. So as we continue to do it, Okay, so guys, this was just a representation, right, of all of us in this room, and I'm taking the liberty of calling out that we all spoke for the coaching fraternity in many ways. 6 questions of thought process that you have gone through, and you've put something here. Can you quickly either come off mute and share, or if you can type it out, what just happened for all of you when you have seen this happening? Look at the world of the last one. The last one is you as a person. You, as I said, your movers and shakers, your coaches, there's so much of expectations on you. But look at the amount of anxiety and fear that you are also sitting on. Why there is a sense of gratitude that you're also kind of feeling. But it's all kind of coming together in many ways. So anybody who wants to do a quick 2-word or 3-word summary, you want to type it out or you want to share on mute? Yes, Jolly, go ahead.
See, what has come up for me is that whatever I'm experiencing for myself as an emotion, that somehow, consciously or unconsciously, I project on the situation or the person and draw from there.
Right.
If I'm able to be present, use excitement, passion, connected, empathy, and presence, automatically the same emotions will somehow I see. I'm only able to see what I'm experiencing. Nothing more.
Got it. Got it. Brilliant. Thank you. That's a lovely way of putting it, Jolly. Appreciate that. Yes. Anybody else wants to type it out, share? What's come? Sudha, go ahead.
Yeah. I think the 3 words that come up for me is resonation, connection, and validation.
Wow. Brilliant. Got that. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Because what we haven't done yet, I mean, this is just like a poll, right? There is no research data today to actually share saying what all is really happening with coaches around the world, right? We don't have anything to kind of call out what's happening within us. But this is just a quick representation over a 1-hour period that we are trying to kind of see where exactly we all stand, what's really happening with us. And that's something that I'm kind of sharing over here. Yes, Sundar, go ahead.
Thank you, Arvind. I think what stands out for me is that all of us as coaches need much of self-care so that our well-being are also taken care equally like our clients.
Got that, Sundar. Thank you. Thank you so much for calling the beautiful word called self-care, right? I don't know how many of you are actually taking some moments for yourself in the whole process of doing a self-care, right? But I think as coaches, and I think as people who are being considered in a different manner altogether, from the time we have been christened as coaches, I think we need to kind of allow ourselves to take some self-care for ourselves, right? So that's something that I love, that being kind to ourselves. Yes, Tripali, thank you. Stephanie, go ahead. Yes. You're on mute, Stephanie.
So it reinforces the fact that we're human, and because sometimes there's this subconscious mindset, if not checked, that we have this superiority as coaches. And it is important to always remember that we are human, and before we can coach someone, we have to have coached ourselves. We have to have found the balance between who we are becoming, how we are becoming, and just embrace the entirety of our humanity. And then we're able to sit in empathy with someone, coaching the person after already coaching ourselves. For me, I believe that coaching is not just a profession, it's a lifestyle. And if you can embrace that lifestyle, you can turn out to be a much better coach.
Brilliant. Fantastic, Stephanie. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think what I'm now trying to share with all of you, and the first thing that's kind of coming up to my hand, and you guys, some of you know that I'm a avid movie person. So my immediate thing is connected to a movie. Most or some of you might have seen Spider-Man, right? And one of the conversations that's in Spider-Man, when he goes to his I forgot, Jane is his lover. When he goes and stands in front of her, when he loses all his superpowers and stands, he actually says to her saying, pinch me, I will bleed. This is the sentence that he actually says, pinch me, I will bleed, right? Telling her very clearly that you might consider me whoever, but finally I'm just a human. Just because I got these web superpowers, that doesn't make me somebody different. I still want to be a normal person. And I think that is something that we might want to adopt for ourselves. We also need to feel that we can be, we are finally human. We are working with another human. How can a human to human interaction kind of continue with all of these emotions being there together? So that's something that I kind of wanted to share. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Arvind, so from this exercise, something that came as a reflection for me was like, while self-doubt came as something for the coach while they are into a coaching conversation, but when we look at the client side, for them, the calmness quotient stands out. So while we may have a self-doubt, but how this is being resonated by the client may be a different sort of a feeling. So I don't know what's the right way of moving forward, but it may not necessarily resonate with what we are thinking at that point in time with the client.
Yes, got that. Got it, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you so much for calling that out. And guys, that's what I'm kind of calling out to you. See, there is a moment in all of us where we might have our own performance anxiety at that particular point of time. We suddenly felt in that particular moment saying, oh, I'm not in touch. I remember somebody writing a little while here, I seem to have lost connection with my client. Somebody wrote that, right? I think that's a very true concept. We seem to be very much there with the client, but suddenly somewhere something triggered and we moved away from the client, or we missed something and so on and so forth. And that's it. A whole new churn starts to actually happen. And like the way Jolly shared, what's happening with us is being transmitted, okay, inadvertently to our clients as well. They can sense it, right? In the same way, we can sense something with our client. When they are thinking something, their intuitions are also on, right? Some of you who are in the learning stage, at the initial stage, one of the things that you will get to see over a period of time is coaches become coaches because of the intuitive nature of coaching itself. That builds over a period of time. So some of the coaches who have crossed these 2,500, 3,000 hours are people who have a lot more deeper intuition right now when they are sitting in front of a client, right? So when that intuition builds, you also need to know your client also has the same intuition with us. They can sense our emotions. They can sense what's happening with us. And they are also resonating accordingly. And if we don't allow our own vulnerabilities to be shown to our clients, then that partnership always will have a little bit of a, up and down. But if we want to create that partnership, let's be as vulnerable as them, right? And that is what a very important concept is. So some of the MCC coaches, whom many of you might have heard, the one thing that they always share is, if you are vulnerable, please share it with your client right then and there. They ask you to say it out loud. Hey, wait, I'm confused as well, is something that they say, right? It's good to go ahead and call it out, because that's when you're seeking a partnership from your client. And the more you're able to show that vulnerability, that will actually help. Okay, great. I'm careful of time. We have 8 more minutes. Now, as part of the closure, I just wanted this from all of us. We have seen the world of emotions. Okay, what can we now do about it? And I just want all of you to just go ahead and share from your side. What are some of the best practices that you have adopted till now, which has supported you in taking care of your emotions? Oh, okay, got it. We have time. Sorry. Thank you. Thanks. Right, but I'm just careful of time. So what are some of the best practices? Or let's look at a very simple, again, question. What are some of the ways by which we can handle this? So let's talk about that. What are some of the ways by which we can handle this? So can I have some few thoughts or answers from either of you? Yes, Stephanie, go ahead.
So one thing I try to do to manage my emotions is first I ask myself, what am I feeling? And then I ask myself, what is making me feel how I am feeling? What is around my environment? What is the trigger? Is it a thought? Right? When I come to that awareness, I ask, how do I want to feel? Based on how I want to feel, what do I need to do to feel how I want to feel? So I tend to, be able to make that transition by also becoming aware of what I can control and what I can't control as regards in the emotions. If I can talk about it, or if I can, and if I can't talk about it, I focus on what I want, on where I'm going to, or what I ultimately want to feel. I put that as my goal, and I try to make the transition by surrounding myself by things that fill me with joy, happiness, contentment, excitement, and I progressively make the shift. Yeah.
Got that, Stephanie. Got that. Thank you. Thank you so much. And guys, as people are sharing right now, this is for all of us in the room. This is not coming from me. Okay. And this is what I love about the world that we are in, right? We are in a world where everybody is working or everybody is offering things for many people. So this whole process today is crowd-funded. Let me put it that way. It's crowd-funded. We are all coaches. We will crowdfund this entire space of what's happening to us and what can we do differently. And any of one of you can pick up anybody else's choice, right? There is so many. I'm already seeing one called self-coaching. Fantastic. So that's I think it's a great space to start with. Being aware of awareness, reflection in journaling. Some of you here are journaling people. You can actually go ahead and journal. Choice of being not judgmental, fair enough. And I'm going to come to two people who have raised their hand. Anu, go ahead. And then I'll come to Shiva.
Yeah. So, Arvind, my way of, there have been such situations where similar kind of, feeling stuck and frustrated, and these feelings are crossed. Or there is a heightened amount of empathy towards the client. At that point of time, my strategy is silence, mindfulness, and prayer.
Okay.
Because I am a firm believer that there is something which is running in the mind of the client. Client is creating their own world. They have a manifestation. It just have to come true to what they are trying to find answers to. So just being human and not getting into the shoes of superhuman kind of. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that. Really appreciate it. Shiva?
Yeah, Arvind, so two best practices as far as I'm concerned is that just entering into the coaching conversation, not having any agenda from my side, right? So that keeps me kind of grounded, then help me to be with the client. And the other thing is deep listening and then observation, right? I think that's probably helped me to kind of be with the client all the time, at least 90% of the time.
Brilliant, Shiva. Thank you. Thank you for being honest about the 90% of the time. Really appreciate that. Yes, Jolly, go ahead.
I thought the question was, how do you take care of yourself, or the question is how you...
No, not both, Jolly.
Huh?
Not both of them. There was no how in that question. What are some of the ways by which we can handle this is the question.
Right. Okay. See, one thing which I do to handle is that I do be present there, enjoy the moment, and do real-time self-reflection about how my body is reacting at this point of time. Actually, the subtlety of emotions at a very subtle level actually happens in the body. So somewhere I try to be aware of what is happening to me in that moment at emotional level. And at conscious level, I'm listening to the person, be with him, try to understand from where he is coming, and whatever competencies we are learning, try to help him in that way. That's it.
Got that, Jolly. Got that. Thank you. And I'm going to connect the dot with respect to the responses that are kind of coming in. It's a very beautiful world I'm actually seeing. Sundar, go ahead.
Thank you, Arvind. There have been few instances where I have reached out to senior coaches, if I can use the word supervision,
Yes.
where I have shared my emotions on what happened, particularly when I felt overwhelmed or not so happy. And then I used that support to become better or to balance myself. I just wanted to share that, Arvind.
Fantastic. Amazing point, Sundar. Thank you so much for bringing that up. And these are some of the things within the world of coaching itself that is possible now for us to kind of manage all of this. I think I would kind of use these. Self-coaching is one. I think I don't know how many people actually have tried a coaching with yourself, right? In the same process that we do for clients, why can't we go ahead and see ourselves as a client and start doing a conversation? Some of you might be able to talk to yourself. Some of you can sit inside a room and talk loudly, right? You can talk within yourself, you can talk loudly. Or another thing that you can try is ask the same questions, but write it down. Okay? Just go through the whole process of writing it down, saying, okay, what do you want to discuss today? What's happening with you right now? What do you think we can do in the next 20 minutes? And have that as a conversation with yourself. That's a brilliant way of kind of seeing how and what things are actually happening for you. So self-coaching, getting coaching from coaches. That's exactly why we all exist. Reach out to anybody in this room, anyone whom you actually know. Just go ahead and say, I'm dealing with something and I would like to have a quick conversation. Right? Not every time we have to do a 30-minute, 40-minute, 50-minute or a conversation. It can be a quick 10-minute, right? One of the coaches sitting here can ask you something which you've never ever thought of in your life. And that one moment can make a huge difference for multiple things that can actually happen later. Right? So that opportunity you actually have, and like what Sundar actually shared, within the world of the coaching domain, we have other roles like supervision that has been created specifically to kind of take care of this. Apart from all the other things that you have written down, which I totally agree, those are all things that we have been applying with our life in many, many ways to take care of our emotions. But within the world of coaching, these are also some of the areas that you can actually look for, right? Try not to attach personal experiences to what is being said by the client. Okay, got that. Fair enough. Okay, so a quick reaction from all of you. You can use the reaction button given below just to know at this particular moment, right? I just want to look at your reactions. How is this going so far, right? This is a world of emotions that we are talking about. We haven't kind of really spoken about this. This is something that I kind of thought of suddenly, and I would love to kind of see what's happening with all of you in the room as we are talking about all of this at this particular stage, right? Use your reactions just to show what it means. What is this all making sense in a different way that we are today speaking about this, right? Wonderful. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for calling that out. Really appreciate that. Okay, so with that, okay, I have something for all of you, and I have no clue how this is going to work. But this is something that I have kind of internally with myself practiced with over a period of time. And this is the first time ever it's coming out of me, and I'm being vulnerable here to share it with all of you. Okay. But that's also because I know this is coaches and they understand my vulnerabilities a lot better than me, right? So that's where I'm coming in to share this. Okay. I call it the drone experiment. It's called the drone experiment. Okay. I'm not going to use drones, don't worry. But this is something that I have coined for myself. And I would like to kind of do that. We have time. Okay. This is a very short, maybe 5 to 7 minute. It's a small work. It's a small work, and I'm going to utilize the space, right? So wherever you are in whatever situation, if you can sit a little bit relaxed, this requires a little bit of, I mean, let's say a practice. I wouldn't want to put it under a world of meditation, but this is a simple practice that I thought I can kind of share it with all of you. Okay. So in your seat, sit a little relaxed. Okay. And if possible, please close your eyes. Okay. Just sit with complete relaxation. Okay. And I'll share where this is all coming from, how this is all going to come together. I'll be happy to do that as well. One of the areas that we are trying to work on today is, the concept of how this entire thing is going to help us in creating the self-awareness for emotional regulation, right? If you remember, we are trying to do emotional regulation, and it's a small self-awareness, right? It's a combination technique, but let me kind of go ahead, and that's where the drone experiment comes in. So in your seat, everybody's relaxed right now. Close your eyes, okay? And I would want you to take a couple of deep breaths. And I'm going to call out a few things. Just follow the instruction. Just follow the instruction. Okay. And see if you can be on mute throughout this so that you can be with yourself. Follow the instruction. Okay. Couple of deep breaths. Now, slowly focus on your left leg pinky toe. Slowly focus on your left leg pinky toe. Just go there and be there. Left leg pinky toe. Be there. And while you're there, just listen to the pinky toe and just note down the emotion that is coming up from that pinky toe. Left leg pinky toe. Be there and listen to the emotion that's coming off the pinky toe. Now slowly move the focus to the right leg thumb of toe thumb. Right leg thumb. And look at the emotion that's coming out from there. Right leg toe thumb. And just hear the emotion coming from there. And just make a note of these emotions. Now slowly move the focus to the left knee. Slowly move the focus to the left knee. Be there and listen to the emotion from that left knee. Typically, these emotions will be one word. Now slowly move the focus to your right hip bone, to your right side hip bone, and be there. And listen to the emotion from that right hip bone. And from your right hip bone, slowly move the focus to your left shoulder. To your left shoulder. And be there. Listen to the emotion coming out from there. And slowly from the left shoulder, take your focus to the top of your head. To the top of your head. And be there and listen to the emotion that's coming on the top of your head. And from there, wherever you are currently, there is a ceiling right above you. Even if you are outside, imagine a ceiling right above you, or wherever you are right now, there is a ceiling. From the top of the ceiling, look down on the top of your head. From the top of the ceiling, put your focus down on the top of your head. And be there from that perspective. And listen to the emotion from that perspective, from that. Once done, come back to yourself. Take 2 deep breaths. Take 2 deep breaths. And slowly and steadily, you may open your eyes. Slowly and steadily, you may open your eyes. Slowly and steadily, you may open your eyes. And as you are in this state, can you quickly note down or even type on the chat the emotions that you heard and listened from each of those states? You should have 8 emotions with you right now. Can you go ahead and type them out? There are 8 stages where you moved your focus, and each focus, each stage spoke to you of an emotion. You may take some time to recall, but see if you can write down the emotions. There need to be 8 such emotions. I'm wondering how many people are going through an emotion of not remembering something. Because I specifically put the performance pressure of 8. It's like, I remember 3, how do I get 5 more? I have 7. What about the 8th one? Oh my God, I didn't hear, I didn't listen. Got that. Wonderful. Sleep is also good. Seen, appreciated, excited, vulnerable, loved, valued, proud, determined. Small, calm, stable, broken, strong, conviction, trust, receive, brilliant, relaxed. Gratitude, humility, pain, contentment, empathy, happiness, and love. Those who might have not typed in, if you just want to make a note of it separately, you can go ahead and do that as well. Okay, and keep the emotions written, or keep writing them as and when it actually happens. Now, here is a very simple question to all of you. When each stage there was a focus. Now, I used the word focus. It was me using my language to use the word focus. But something made you reach out to those particular points that I kind of called out, right? There is some phenomena. Let me put it as phenomena. Okay. Something moved from one point to another, right? Something moved from one point to another. Can you take a moment to describe, just describe, what did you see move? I use the word focus, forget the word focus for a moment. Can you think of what it looked like for you? Awareness, attention, waves, visual, right? And just think of this while I'm sharing this. When I said the left leg pinky toe, the pinky toe was something that you were able to see. I know you are able to see it, right? So it couldn't have been just awareness. It couldn't have been just attention. What's making you see that? Can you describe that? Which made you see the left knee, which made you see the left shoulder, which made you see the top of the head. I was sensing, got that. Visualization, intuition. So, and I just want all of you to notice what is being written down. Do you see everybody has a very different experience altogether, right? For some of you, it might have been a ball of energy. right? That just kind of moved. It could even have some colors. You never know, right? It could have been some kind of a wave or some kind of a feeling, but you were able to move those specific places. And when those movements were happening, okay, for some reason, everything else is completely drowned out. I don't think there was no other thinking that was actually happening at that time, right? But specifically those toe, those knee, and those were the specifics, right? Left pinky toe. I don't think we ever had the opportunity to go speak to our left pinky toe ever, right? And we are now getting an opportunity to do that, right? Or the right thumb, for example. So something made you move, right? So there is a description to it, and I leave the description for all of you to see how it is. Okay. And now this is something that I'm just imagining, or I'm just making you imagine that. Okay. Imagine there was something moving from that one point to another. And considering the, the kind of world that we are in, I'm calling it the drone in many ways. Okay. But I have a different way of calling it as the drone. Okay. And I'm just going to quickly share that with all of you. Quickly share that with all of you. Just a moment. Okay. I'm calling it the drone. Okay. And the drone for me is whatever you saw was dimensional. There was a particular dimension from where you were able to kind of see it. Okay. And tell me how you are able to resonate with this. Okay. There is a dimension into that. Okay. And by the way, I'll also make one more additional observation, but you tell me how that works. Okay. There is dimensional. It was a reflection. There were emotions and thoughts. Would that be true? You went to a dimension and there was a reflection that you were doing in that particular dimension, right? When I say dimension, that's a perspective. You had to go down, or you were looking from the top to the down to your toe. So that's a dimension. There is a perspective, and there were certain emotions and thoughts that was there based on the reflection. Okay. And what were you reflecting on? Of oneself. That is you. This is you. And in your side, in the way you were able to kind of look at it. Okay. Of the oneself. And whatever that moved was a very hazy image. You can call it under awareness, you can call it under intuition, you can call it under sensing, whatever. But it was a very nebulous kind of a feel, which you cannot put a finger to, but it was nebulous. It's a hazy image. Okay. But it was some form of energy. And energy is something that kind of manifests. Right? So this is what I'm calling it as the drone. Right? It is a dimensional reflection of oneself with nebulous energy. The word with is something that I have not specifically put here, but those are the articles that can be there. But can I say this as something that happened for all of you? Right? Would you say that this perspective and these emotions and thoughts supported you to kind of see that? Okay. So this is a form of self-awareness that I'm kind of sharing with all of you, that you became self-aware in that moment. You were able to move through a certain aspect, and you were able to touch upon certain emotions very clearly, right? In the process of looking at it. Okay. And this is what my drone experiment is. This is a practice that I actually have, by the way. And that practice I have, for the first time ever, I have kind of shared it with so many of you. I've never shared this with anyone, right? And it's just a feeling or a thought process that I have been doing for a very long time. And that is something that I want to share. So this is just words, but representing it. I hope this kind of supported you, right? Now with this, okay, I would like to go ahead and talk about, I'll just stop share there for a moment. And And one is you saw an experience of a drone. Okay. Now, whenever you have your emotional movements or emotional changes or emotional shifts happening within you, can you now see it like a drone coming and looking at you in specific of these points? So if you now look at the emotions that you wrote earlier, some of these emotions will have a direct impact on something around, something within you. For example, the coach that you are, in the way you are looking at a client, in the way you are working as a mentor coach with another mentee, some of these emotions will manifest itself. And you have an opportunity to take a look at them through the process of drone and to see what that emotion is telling you. And you will be surprised, you will listen that the emotion is saying certain things. And you now have an opportunity to re-look at it. Okay. So the reason where I'm coming from is there is this concept which says, you can say concept, we actually don't have thoughts. Many people believe we have thoughts first and then we have emotions. But there is another study or a concept which says we have emotions first and then thoughts. Okay. This is a concept as well, that emotions happen for us most. And from those emotions comes the thoughts. Okay. So every time you touch upon your emotion, you now have a choice to relook at or change the emotion. And that emotional change can create a new thought process or a new thought line. And that can actually have a very positive impact on you. Okay, so this is a concept that it actually talks about. Okay, so what I'm now leaving with you is, you have this drone experiment. You can go ahead and touch upon the emotion, use the emotion to identify what is the new thought that you can actually have, right? And that with that new thought, you now have to create a form of resilience, which is exactly what we wanted finally. How do you now continue or sustain to look at that? Okay. And that is very simple. Again, these are two of my favorites as well. Some of you might know this already. So as you know, for resilience, there are, by Martin Seligman, put 3 Ps. Okay. How many people know this? How many people, some of you might be very much aware. There is personalized, pervasive, and permanence. Okay. These are basically what we tell ourselves. Sometimes we have a very personalized effect. Sometimes we believe this is true for multiple such situations that we actually kind of put. Permanence is we always believe this is how it is. For example, I have self-doubt. Self-doubt is an emotion that you actually had. Okay. I have self-doubt only this time. Okay. Is personalized. Okay. I have self-doubt in coaching. Is pervasive. I always have self-doubt. Is permanence. Know the difference. Know the difference. This is what personalized, pervasive, and permanence talks about. So you now have an opportunity to relook at that. Okay. So personalized, pervasive, and permanence is, I'm talking for myself. I'm talking for only in this particular area. I'm talking for everything in my life. Right? This we end up doing in our life many times. Oh, I've always lived with self-doubt, hence I cannot become a coach. Oh, I always have a performance pressure with me, hence I cannot be with my client. Oh, I always feel that I have to be number one in everything, hence I have to be the number one in front of my client as well. So I will not listen to my client. These are all things that typically actually happens. When we start listening to this through our emotions, we now have a choice to redo that. And this is a very famous one by Martin Seligman from, and I will share the notes as well, but Seligman has already spoken about. Then there is a medical research which talks about these 3, right? When we realize that there is an emotional impact, we either do it compensatory. There is a loss because of the emotion. I will look at some other emotion to compensate for it. That's one way to look at it, to make it resilient. Okay. And or this emotion is going to harm me, so I'm going to protect myself. So that's protective. Okay. Or third one is, this is an emotion that's been there with me, and this time I'm going to challenge it. When you think on those lines, it starts to become resilient within you. And when that resilience actually happens, right, you can apply any of these techniques and it kind of has a very, very strong resilient impact for you. And that's how the whole structure of emotions are there. And this is to support you guys in different ways. Okay. So for me, I have written down this. The qualities of an emotionally balanced coach are these. So if you happen to follow, or if you happen to just have a belief on what we have just seen, some of these becomes an automatic process. There is a lot of heightened awareness. Your response and practice can actually make a huge difference. There is a control of expression from your side. You will not feel not in control. You will be able to create empathy and create partnership with your clients. Things will become a lot more direct. It will never be wishy-washy. And you will uphold the client's responsibility to resolve. Finally, responsibility will move away from you and you will go to your client, and your eagerness to learn will definitely begin. Your eagerness to learn can actually destroy many of the places where the more we learn, the more open we become. And the more open we become, the more positive emotions are possible. So this is what I want to share with you. And these are some of the resources that I have used for sharing all of this today. So NSDR is a practice. I don't know, some of you might have heard from Sundar Pichai. In fact, he made it famous. It's called a non-sleep deep state, right? There is a deep rest. There is a process by which you can actually not sleep, but you're in a deep rest, which can rejuvenate you in a shorter span of time. So it's a concept called NSDR, okay, which is found in the practice of Yoga Nidra. Some of you might be aware called Yoga Nidra, and Yoga Nidra is a practice of NSDR, right? What we also did was a part of somatic coaching. The whole resilience comes from the book Learned Optimism by Martin Seligman, and some medical research papers that I went through based on resilience from psychology papers. And the thoughts and emotions are from some of the Gita-based podcasts that I keep listening to in many ways. So this is where my references comes in. So with this, I'm careful of time. I'll stop share. We are 1 minute over the time. Apologies for that. But I'll take a pause and hand it over back to Shanti.
I'm still here. Okay.
Shanti, thank you. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Arvind. If you've got some questions, please ask. If not, this has been a wonderful session, Arvind. I could see the chat fully active. Participants totally loved it. And I'm getting lots of pings saying that very helpful session. So thank you. I will stop the recording, but we can stay on and bug Arvind with questions we have.